They're the elements you need in every successful story.
But I called up Bill Hewlett when I was 12 years old, and he lived in Palo Alto. His number was still in the phone book. And he answered the phone himself. He said, yes. I said, hi, I'm Steve Jobs. I'm 12 years old. I'm a student in high school, and I want to build a frequency counter. And I was wondering if you had any spare parts I could have. And he laughed, and he gave me the spare parts to build this frequency counter, and he gave me a job that summer in Hewlett-Packard, working on the assembly line, putting nuts and bolts together on frequency counters. He got me a job in the place that built them. And I was in heaven. And I've never found anyone who said no or hung up the phone when I called. I just asked. And when people ask me, I try to be as responsive, to pay that debt of gratitude back. Most people never pick up the phone and call. Most people never ask. And that's what separates sometimes the people that do things from the people that just dream about them.
Stories, very simple. That's really all it is. What a story is that simple. That was under a minute. And Steve Jobs really gave people a very strong sense of what he's all about, his origin story, what made him successful, his philosophy of what makes people successful and unsuccessful, what it takes. One of the things I hear all the time from clients around the world is, oh, TJ, I'd love to tell stories, but there's no time. That took less than a minute. Now, that was from one of my short videos, and you can see it's in the vertical length, and it's very simple. It's very short, and I just start off with one sentence. Here are the story elements. Here are the elements in every great story. Has a character, has a problem, has some tension, has some action, has a little dialogue, has a setting, has a resolution, has a message. That's all the story is. It's not about being overly dramatic and being wildly funny, but that's a story people heard from Steve Jobs when he was alive, when he was younger, and it really resonated. You have those same stories too. And the whole key is be authentic. Talk about your journey, your experience, and what you do. And that's what resonates with people. It's not your whole biography. It's not your resume. It's not your GPA in college. It is stories like this that will really help you connect with people and make them want to work with you. Hi, I'm TJ Walker. Thanks for joining me. We are live. This is a live session where you can ask me anything, any question at all about communication, public speaking skills, personal development skills. This is your chance. I'm happy to critique your videos, just as I critique Steve Jobs' video there. And we're here to have some fun. So I'm joined by a number of colleagues and students. Barb Tomlin has joined us. Barb, we could say hello. And Tess is here, Moss, and Giampaolo as well. So, Barb, you are a seasoned veteran at the communication world, YouTube world, Facebook world. This is a little bit of an experiment for us because we typically answer questions from students on Facebook. We've done that already today, but there's more questions, more interaction that people are looking for. And now we're doing it here on YouTube Live. Anything you want to share with folks that you find particularly interesting or insightful about YouTube at the moment?
Well, YouTube has added a community tab to all of the YouTube accounts, but YouTube has also not put the infrastructure to build community there. And so they've had a struggle over this last year in doing that. And so everybody, if you have actually started a YouTube channel, be sure to check, make sure where your community tab is, because that's where you can actually grow a community like what we have on Facebook. I would like to just take this just a couple of minutes and say, I'm one of TJ's top Udemy students. TJ didn't
Not one
mention
of,
that.
the best, the best.
But he didn't mention that these we're bringing our students from Udemy over here with us on YouTube. Most of the students actually have YouTube channels as well, but we're not able to give them really the just exposure they deserve in our Facebook group. If you are a Udemy student, please join us in our Facebook group as well. That's where we're top loading all of our information there. And then join us afterwards on Thursday here on YouTube. So,
Great. Thanks, Barb. And you
Mhm.
mentioned community as something that historically YouTube wasn't great at, and they've been trying to improve.
right.
And they now have a community tab. And confession, I didn't know about this tab until about 2 weeks ago. And I'm now trying to use it. But if you see a typical, here's my YouTube page, which is going to go through change with its branding soon. You start off home, videos, shorts, live, podcast, playlist, and here's this thing, community button. I never even noticed it till 2 weeks ago. So the best practice is to do something once a day on your community tab where you either share a recent video, take a poll of users, ask them what content they want. So I've been trying to do that pretty much once a day, and it's still new. So you see there's not a tremendous amount of engagement, but already I can see one blunder I've made. I didn't announce on my community page that I was going to be
Right.
sending to people live. So
Exactly.
shame on me. I should have not done that. I should have made an effort to definitely do that.
Well,
We
I
are
would
coming to
also
you.
say that you are also a fellow student of Sean Cannell's program from Think Media. And he's TJ's really diving in deep with Sean's programs right now. But it's all about, in building community, on that community tab, and even on our Facebook group, it's about mentioning others. And so we want to feature you on YouTube, and TJ can mention you there in the community tab, and that helps his visibility and your visibility. It's picked up by Google, and we all know we all want to be found through Google. And so these are tools, additional tools you have to work with to build your community online.
Sure, absolutely, Barb. And that is an open invitation to anyone watching is come to my community page and leave a comment about what you're working on, your video. Let's promote you and let's all grow in this together. We've got several people lined up in StreamYards to join us live. So that's one of the things we're trying to do with this technology here, not just the TJ hour all the time. We want other people in conversation. So let's go. Sama, if you want to join us, Sama is one of our regular students, and she was in the waiting room. She may have had to step away, but Sama, if you wanted to, there you are. All right, how are you today, Sama?
Yeah, I'm doing great.
Great. Tell us what you've been working on in the last week.
Well, I tried to do the strategies that I learned from Udemy. I'm just trying to keep up with it, just in case I'm just improving. I'm finding this really good. Even my friends are just having like, wow, you improved a lot. You're speaking right now with us. You understand us. I'm not understanding them. I just translated what they wanted to tell me.
And forgive me for interrupting, but I want to go a little deeper in something you said. You're saying your friends are giving you specific feedback that you've
Yeah,
improved. What are they
yeah.
saying you improved on?
Well, I was very cold at my impressions and my reactions. So now I'm smiling, giving slightly smile is just something brand new for me. And some kind of just laughing with them while they're laughing, even though I sometimes don't understand what they are laughing at, but just loving them, keeping up with them. That's a new thing for me. I did not do that.
Well, great. That's fantastic. And smiling is sort of a universal way for humans to show they're having fun and they're enjoying company of others. And yes, there are cultural nuances and differences around the world, but is human nature when someone else smiles, you smile more, and it just naturally makes everyone feel better. So it's great that you're doing that.
That's
There's
true.
the concept of mirroring when other people are laughing and you're laughing that makes them laugh more. That's one of the things that all
Yeah.
great stand-up comedy clubs do
That
is they
makes them
have
feel
people sit
comfortable.
close together, because when you see the person next to you laughing and smiling, it makes you laugh harder and it makes the comedy experience better.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Great.
true.
So tell us what your number one skill is you're working on in the next week. What are you trying to improve on the most right now?
Well, sometimes when just there is one teacher I have, sometimes he makes fun of me. Just like when I concentrate, I just go cold. I don't give any impression. So when I'm at the class, just they have some kind of joke, I don't laugh because I just like found it. We are now working, so I'm serious. So all of them are laughing, and just I don't sometimes understand what exactly this kind of joke means,
Mhm.
or sometimes it's hard for me. Just I don't want to laugh, so he just like says you're acting like a soldier, or sometimes like why are you laughing? You're not laughing. You're not even giving a smile. So I'm just trying to keep up with it and try to have some comments and some replies for that. And I'm trying to work on that.
Okay. So, number one, don't worry about it if other people make fun of you, other than to just
Yeah.
laugh it off and smile. There's always going to, there are people who make fun of me all the time. I mean, someone just
Yeah.
this morning said, "Hey, nice going on the ring light today, TJ." A video I posted earlier today, I had forgotten to take my glasses off. So you see these big rings of the ring light, and they were essentially making fun of me. And I could have gotten annoyed. I could have gotten angry. I could have deleted their comment. Instead, I just wrote back, "Hey, you're right. Thanks for noticing it. I forgot to take my glasses off," and just go with
Yeah.
it. Now, if you wanted to have some witty retorts and you knew it was coming, if they're saying, you never laugh at anything, and you could say, "I'm still waiting for you to say something funny," then all the other students might laugh with you at the student, but you don't have to get into a battle of wits. You've got to do your schooling the way you want to. Try to have as much fun as possible. And the most important thing is you are speaking out regularly. I've got to go to test, but stay on if you could. And if you haven't yet, if you could do me one favor, subscribe to my YouTube channel and leave a question or a comment on some of the videos or in the community section.
I think I'm
So,
subscribed already.
oh, great, great. And please leave some comments. That would be great. And
All right.
questions there. Thanks so much. And Tess, I know we cut you off a little earlier today. Thanks so much for coming back. Tell us a little more about your own video strategy. How often do you want to post? What are your real goals for posting?
I would like ideally to post once a week. I just want the exposure so people can follow me, and maybe then they will pass my details on. I'm not looking to get clients from Instagram directly, but I understand with my business, I need to have a presence there.
Mhm.
But I also want to have the practice to feel more comfortable in front of the camera and to be less conscious about my voice and just everything about it.
So when you say less conscious about your voice, I think you should be conscious of your voice and conscious of the fact that you have a perfectly fine voice, a lovely voice. You should be using it. That's why you should be making videos at least once a week. Keep in mind, there are three types of voices in the entire world, in my view. There's the top 0.0001% of voices where they're so distinctive, so rich, so melodious. James Earl Jones. The person can wake up at noon, go down to a TV network, record a commercial for an upcoming movie, and then go to the beach at 1 o'clock, cash the check for the $1 million at the end of the day. I don't have a voice like that. You don't have a voice like that. But there are some rare people like that. There's also the other extreme, the bottom 0.0001% of people, where their voice is so irritating, so scratchy, so uncomfortable. You hear that voice, you'd rather jump off the balcony than have to listen to them. I've never actually met anyone like that. And then there's everyone else. There's the other 99.99% of people who have voices like yours and mine, where it's perfectly fine. We can convey our ideas.
Mm.
No one's going to jump off the balcony to get away from our voice, and no one's going to give us $1 million to make a commercial with our voice. So your voice is perfectly fine. Let's go a little deeper, though, about your goals. You say you want a presence. What does that mean? Two-part question. What does that mean to you? And second part, why not get clients from Instagram? Why not have people who say, wow, I've been watching your stuff, really impressed with your ideas. I think you could help me.
Mm.
Do you have a program, a book, a consulting service? How can you help? What's wrong with having people reach out to you directly? Because there are a lot of people who get a lot of business through not just Instagram, but all social media platforms.
Yes, I suppose it's because I always sell, I have a package, so they have to commit to a certain package. And by looking at me on Instagram, they are not aware of what might be involved. And so I feel that those people who might reach out to me might not be qualified.
Mm-hmm. And they certainly might not, and 99% might not, but it could be a funnel in. Now,
Yeah.
I'm not an expert on this because I'm learning this as well, and I've gone through different funnel programs. And Barb mentioned Sean Cannell's Video Ranking Academy. They touch on this, but a lot of the best practices for people who are active in social media is do something in your videos where and it could be in your description and other places, where you're giving people an opportunity to get something for free.
Mm-hmm.
Could be a handout, could be a PDF, could be a checklist, could be another video. And in that, you then lead them to a page. If they want more, or if they want to perhaps meet with you, they have to answer a questionnaire, and the questionnaire can be what weeds them out. So I do that myself. So for example, I'll just share with you exactly sort of my process
Mm-hmm.
that I'm doing, which is currently considered, best practice. So here's my page. In every one of my descriptions, you're going to see, watch this no cost web. Well, you can't see it right there, but the fourth line says, I've got a free training video for you, a no cost webinar. It takes you to a page. I'm also listing that. Whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. I also have a comment where I tell people, hey, you can get a free training seminar from me, no cost. Now, when they do that, they get taken to a landing page where I talk about what they're going to learn. And it's about a 20-minute video. And at the end of the video, I sort of give them different options of how I often work with people. And I say, if this seems like a good fit, we're happy to talk to you. They then click a link to schedule a 15-minute meeting. Then they're given a survey. And the survey asks them questions like, is this something you're really trying to solve right away? And are you ready to invest time and money? And sometimes they say, and do you believe improving your presentation skills is something that anyone can do with hard work, or is it something you're kind of born with? So if they say, I don't really think you can change it, and it's not a high priority for me, and not something I want to invest time and money in, then I can just send them a free, if they schedule a meeting, I'll say, it doesn't seem like it's a good fit. I want to respect your time. And I'll just send them a free book.
Mm-hmm.
But then if they do answer questions in a way that suggests it's a good, because I don't want to work with anyone or take money from anyone if it seems like they're not a good fit.
Yeah.
Someone is a high school student and doesn't have an extra $10. They're not, my program costs many thousands of dollars for this sort of high-end coaching program. I don't want them to take credit card debt if they're a high school student. It just wouldn't make sense. And so that's something you could do, and I believe is really the most effective strategy for social media. Is you've got to lead people in, You've got to entice them and give them something of real value to the point where they give you their email and possibly a way for them to schedule a meeting with you if you're selling a high-end course or a
Yes.
high-end consulting package. And if not, if you're selling them, let's say, a $500 video course, you're then just leading them to a page that spells out all the benefits.
Mhm.
So I do want to urge you to, you don't have to do it my way, but I want you to think about something where there's a progression where people can find out more about you and see
Mhm.
if it's good rather than just general presence, because that's abstract and fuzzy. And it might not happen next week, it might not happen next month, but at some point in the next year or two, if you're not really getting any tangible presence from the social media videos, it's just easy to say, well, I'm on vacation this week, I won't do it, or I'm busy this week. And before you know it, 8 weeks have gone by, you haven't posted anything, and your life isn't any different. And that's when people quit.
Right.
The one thing, and I think Barb will back me up on this, is that the biggest difference between people who are wildly successful on YouTube and social media and those who don't is the people who are wildly successful really kept at it typically for 5 years
Mhm.
without getting much benefit. And then they had a breakthrough. Now, what's a little bit different now, and there's a woman named Sunny Lenarduzzi who's really good at this, is she teaches people technique. I would recommend her YouTube
Mhm.
channel, Sunny Lenarduzzi. Is she has a particular strategy where you don't even have to have a large following, but in every single video you do, you have sort of a soft sell of, here's this training program I'm giving to you for free, or here's this video I have, and it leads people in to learn more about you. Because you could be doing new content once a week, as you are
Yeah.
doing, but it could lead people to maybe a half-hour video where you really explain your main program. If someone's
Mhm.
not willing to watch it all, well, then you know they're not a good fit and it didn't waste any of your time. So I would give that some real thought.
All right. Thank you.
Tess, we're going to go to Moss in just a moment with his questions. By the way, if you would like to ask a question, you can come right into us in StreamYard. Also, you can post a comment right on the YouTube page for those of you joining us live. Barb, I want to make sure I'm not missing that because we should be live on the YouTube channel now. And people should be able to post their comments. I'm going to pull up the page. And I messed up my audio there. So chat. In fact, if you could do me a favor, Tess and Sama and Giampaolo, just post a comment in the chat section right on the YouTube page. I just want to make sure we've set up everything the right way and that I'm not missing it. So if you go to the YouTube page, you can post right on the top right. Barb, am I walking people through the right way on that? Is that correct? And Barb may have had to step away for a moment. So Moss, if you would like to join us, let me know if you have any question or comment. Moss had joined us earlier in our live Facebook, and he's currently on a search for a new job in Austin, Texas. I did want to give him a little more tips on top interview strategies. Barb?
Okay, we are live
here.
on YouTube. I had to turn the volume off on YouTube, but we are definitely live on YouTube. You would have to go on YouTube to make a comment on the YouTube video for it to show up in here. Yeah.
And I just now
course.
saw the first one. Heba says, "Hey, Heba, thanks
Yeah.
so much for joining us."
Show that.
And
There's
Heba, if
Heba's.
you're listening, please post a question. Any question you have related to communication, presentation skills, public speaking, media training, I'd love to hear from you. And we can address them right here. And so, Barb, okay, now I do see it right there. Right.
Okay. So
So
that
it will
will be in
show
the
up in our StreamYard. By the way, you can look, if this is your first time here, you may be thinking, well, these people don't really know what they're doing. That's right. That's how you learn. I have done I have done live on YouTube before, but this is our first one where we're trying to integrate StreamYard and YouTube to let other people
Our
pop up on
students,
screen
all
and
the
talk. Our
students, yeah.
students actually talk to us and ask questions as opposed to just typing. It's always more powerful if you can see other people and hear their voice. So that's one of the things YouTube, to my understanding, doesn't easily have a way to just invite people on where you can see their face and connect in a video way rather than just chat. So that's why we're using both of these. If this is your first time to the channel and the first video you've seen, hi, I'm TJ Walker, and I help people become more successful by building and improving their communication skills, by building confidence in their communication skills. So if you have questions about any aspect of communication, feel free to post it here on the chat. If you're watching this on demand, you can post it in the video below. And also feel free to check out the videos. These days, I'm pretty much doing one or two videos every single day. And you can look at the long form videos, you can look at the shorts if you prefer that, or the live videos and the live on demand. So that's really what we're all about here. Okay, Barb, in a moment, I would like to get a little feedback from the community on another video. But first, I wanted to get your sense of what you think the state of YouTube is, because you are someone who has spent so much time on Facebook and you're a true Facebook expert and how that helps people communicate and build community. But you've also taken courses and done a lot of serious thought and experimentation with YouTube as well. I want to get a sense from you of what you think the relative pros and cons are of YouTube versus Facebook.
Well, I actually, like you, have been on YouTube a long time. I don't even have 100 subscribers on my channel, but I was one of the first to actually get my youtube.com/BarbTUSA. They gave me the unique ID and everything because they know I'm an old beta tester. But I told them at the time when I was involved with the tech team, I said, I'm a community gal. You know, it's how are you going to build community on the platform? And so at that time, it was just getting out there and being visible. And I go to YouTube every day. It's an entertainment and education center for me. I love it. But there was no way to build community. And so when the community tab was introduced, I was one of, because you also had a certain number of subscribers you needed to have during the early phase of that. And I was one of the ones given that early on. And I said, nobody's here. I ran tests and so forth. But I do know that to build community online, no matter what platform you're on, it's not about you. It's about your community. It's about the others who come to congregate with you. And so by mentioning them, mentioning the experts like Sunny Lendouzzi, is it Lendouzzi or
Lenarduzzi.
Lenarduzzi, yeah. I mess it up. I'm a fan of Sunny's as well. And I watched Sean from his very, very early days on YouTube. And he's just, I think the world of him. And he has mastered it. His programs are exceptional. And I'm watching. I think I mentioned to you that Sean also has a Facebook community, very large Facebook community. Did he give it up and just go to YouTube to build community? Not at all. That's the driving force, because why Facebook? I absolutely hated Facebook. I thought it was a college kids hangout and really didn't gravitate towards it at all. But I come back from the early days online when you went from email to BBS systems to the proprietary networks. I had contracts both with Prodigy and AOL. And CompuServe, I was there too.
I remember CompuServe,
yeah,
1995.
Actually, those are the biggies. And
sure.
What made what was the infrastructure that allowed you to create and sustain communities? It was that discussion board, that discussion area to come back and forth where you could use, in those days, we had to use text, and we dreamed of being able to have immediate responses to our comments come back right away. Prodigy was the first one that was able to achieve that. I was part of the beta program on that as well. And it was really something to say, hey, how are you doing today? And someone just, their text come right up in front of your eyes and you'd be able to see it. So fast forward to now, and I'm so glad I'm still alive to be here to see this happen. But we have all the tools we need. We can do images. We can do videos. The links are clickable, so we can send people places. We can tell them about things, send them places. So we have the technology communication tools that we need, especially on any of them that offer a discussion mechanism. I mean, Twitter has been the same kind of story, and far as having the fast, the short discussions, just quips here and there, starting with text and where it's gone. And well, of course, now it's known as X, too bad. But I mean, it's just, I don't think I'll ever get over the bird. No,
I'm not a fan of the rebranding either.
Yeah, it's like, oops, but
Yeah.
I've been around tech long enough to know that, we all make mistakes, and I've lived my life in beta Barbie, so, but this is it. Now we have this opportunity, and it would behoove all of those on YouTube to be able to learn how to use the community tab to their benefit. And
I pointed out the community tab earlier, but it just occurred to me I'm violating best practices now because we've been talking for a while, and I should have asked people to leave a comment and ask a question. So if you're watching this on demand, if you leave a question, I'll answer it in the next live session. If you're watching us live, post in the chat box, and we'll take your question, answer it right now. I'll give my opinion, and others joining us can weigh in as well. So please leave a comment. If you're getting any value out of this, can you like this video if you're watching it on demand? Barb, I'm sorry, I don't even know. Is it possible to like a live video while it's streaming, or is that you have to wait until it's on demand?
I'm looking in here now. Oh, sure you can. Sure. I just hit it. Now, did you see it in StreamYard? Yeah, I think you could. Doesn't it show up?
It's not showing up for me.
Okay. No.
And Ata, we'll be coming to you in 1 minute. If you want to go ahead and turn your camera on. Always nice to hear from you. One of our top students from the other side of the world. And Moss, I did see you pop back on. If you want to come back on, we'll be happy to talk to you as well. And Beverly is saying just likes, and thanks for stopping by, Beverly. We appreciate that. So Ada, if you want to join us, as I know you were live earlier, and we always like knowing what some of our younger, most ambitious and hardworking students are up to.
Hi,
and
sir.
what questions you have. How are you today? It looks like his camera is joining. By the way, you don't have to appear on camera. You can type a question in. You can also join us through StreamYards and just appear with your voice. But if you want to be on camera, all the more powerful quite often. Okay, Ada, I don't know if we're having connection issues, but your microphone is not on at the moment. If you want to turn your microphone on, we will come to you and take any question or anything you want to share or anything you want to spotlight. And while Ada's getting ready, Moss is with us. We spoke to him earlier today on Facebook. And if Moss wants to come join us again and talk about a little more in depth on strategies for job interviewing, we're happy to do that. Moss, are you with us?
Yeah. Hi, TJ. Can you hear me?
Yes. I know we got cut off a little bit earlier because of time.
Right.
And I just wanted to see if there's any way else I could help you so that when you go into your next job interview, it's not that you're confident 100% they're going to give you the offer, but I do want you to have the confidence knowing that you came across your very best and that you gave them a strong sense of why you'd be great for the job, your unique strengths, and that you'd be a great person to work with. Do you feel like you're at that level now, or what's holding you back if you're not at that level?
Well, I'm a little bit rusty now. I could tell from the interview. And another problem was the interview was like first thing in the morning, and I'm not really a morning person. So, but they had already arranged for it, so I didn't want to tell them I couldn't make it. Like in the first thing in
just
the morning.
just to clarify, have you already had one interview and you're waiting to get more, or you've got one scheduled
I've had
for the
three actual interviews since I've been down here. I've applied to maybe a few dozen jobs. It is very competitive now. Their economy is kind of in a sort of a recession, and there are jobs available, but there's a lot of applicants floating around. I can see that, from statistics on Indeed. And one thing about this job in particular was that apparently they had decided I wasn't for them, just as soon as I had left the building, and the headhunter tried calling me on my landline, but I was in the car heading back to the suburbs, and I didn't speak to him till later. Meanwhile, I sent everybody a thank you note, which was good practice anyway. Mm-hmm. And apparently their comment was I didn't make enough eye contact in the interview, which is, a good point.
Okay. Well, for starters, you're working with a headhunter. So that's a huge advantage because you can now get feedback on how you did. And nobody likes criticism. So if you don't have a headhunter, it's very awkward to just write back to someone who wrote to you at a company saying, we're not going to hire you, to then say, now be my personal coach and guru and critique me, because that's not their job. But quite often there is a relationship between the company and the headhunter, so they can get information. And then the headhunter doesn't have to be the bad person saying, you were horrible. They're just saying, this is what they told me. So I would really, really listen to that. You know what? Let's practice our eye contact right now. Do you mind turning your camera on? Because you did have it on earlier. Let's practice the eye contact right now. And let me give you a few pointers. So this is a little different because this is mediated by Zoom and technology and satellite. So I'm actually not giving you good eye contact right now. You're down here. I'm looking at the camera because I want you to feel like I'm giving you eye contact. If I were actually looking at you, it would be like this. But if I did this for the whole show, it would seem like I'm looking at Facebook or sports or news or something. So I want to, in this case, do something a little artificial, create the illusion of eye contact by looking at the camera. But when you're in a job interview, and I'm assuming these interviews were face-to-face with real people in a room, correct?
Yeah.
You really need to be looking at someone for 90% of the time. Now, was there more than one person interviewing you? Was it a group or was it one-on-one?
Yeah, it was a group, but some of them had to leave immediately. They said there was like an issue that had come up in another conference room, which happens, with IT.
That can happen. So, here's what I would recommend. If you're being interviewed and let's say there's 3 people in the room, I would look at one person for a full thought, just a couple sentences, 5, 6 sentences, 5 or 6 seconds, then go to another person and really answer them and look at them for a couple of sentences, one thought, and then go to another. You don't want to be doing this and you don't want to be doing this. Every so often, it's perfectly fine to look down or, there was the time at Oracle when you're reflecting, but 90% of your time needs to be looking at a human being. And if there's only one person in the room, look at them, not a dead stare for 2 minutes at a time, but look at them for 10 seconds or so, glance down for a second, and then back. And this 90-10 ratio is still going to work for you. Did you get any other feedback from your headhunter?
No.
Okay. So it was the eye contact.
Right.
So let's address something. And I haven't interviewed you, so I don't really know how you're coming across, but there are a lot of tech companies who the top management is saying, we need people who can actually talk to human beings, because so many tech companies, you walk in and everyone has their headphone on and they're hunched over typing, and they can have the most important issue in the world dealing with someone who's 5 feet away, and they never just get up and go talk to them. They feel like the only way of communicating is typing. So there is a big push in a lot of tech companies to bring in people who have technical skills, who also have strong communication skills. They want to see both of that.
Right.
And so if they're having a conversation and you seem like you're looking down or avoiding eye contact, it sets off alarms with a lot of people. Rightly or not, they may assume, well, this person is another introvert. This person's another person who's only going to type messages. This is going to be someone who can't conduct the meeting if his boss is out of town that week. And this is not the sort of person we want. Again, I'm spinning out a caricature. I'm not saying that applies to you, but I do know that thinking permeates a lot of not just tech companies, but other companies as well. Barb, I'd like you to weigh in here and see if you have any other advice for Moss as he goes on this job quest.
Well, I'm not a young chick myself. I've been here forever. And the thing is that I think that the more you practice and actually do, I mean, my husband is a little bit older than myself. And I said, and he's still working. And I think we're going to try to work until we leave the earth. But I feel that just being social, being comfortable, and being part, just like what you're doing here, being part of the conversation will help build your confidence, help you to be able to, oh, I was there with TJ and Barb last week. It wasn't such a big deal. And so you're more relaxed when you're coming into the session, because you realize that they're going to be people on the other side of that screen and not just an image. But we are challenged at this time, of course, because of all of the AI that's been invoked. You're also a technology person. And so it's like, well, what do you know about AI? And then it's like, well, why isn't your image here in AI? And and there are possibilities with that. I'm having a lot of fun on that path and just learning what we can do. And I think that because you are in technology, you'll never grow old, so to speak. You'll always be there as long as you stay up with the tools. Because I can tell you that opportunities for myself and for my husband, if we didn't have the technology background and stay up with it, we wouldn't be relevant. It would just be, it's like, how can you connect? But I have a large following on my Facebook community. Probably half of my friends are less than half my age. So that they stay up with the technology. So I think that, and mostly it's like I told my husband, and I say this to our Udemy students in our Facebook group all the time, is just press the button. Once you become comfortable, and TJ has programs where he's teaching people just to do that very thing, but just to be comfortable to do that and not feel self-conscious, because what people are connecting with is your voice, your personality, the way you're, just the body movement, everything about that. That's you, and that's what makes you memorable. And so just relax. That would be my biggest tip: is just relax, breathe, and roll with it. So.
And Moss, if you could do one thing for me that I think will benefit you too, I want you to do a video. Doesn't have to be long, 3 minutes or less. And I want you to think of it as if you went to the job interview and they said, hey, I'm sorry, we have an emergency. We can only give you 3 minutes. What do you really want us to know about you? And you just talked. What would it be? I want you to cover what you think you are uniquely good at and a story that demonstrates that. And I don't know if there was a time where it was Christmas Eve and the CEO was panicking because they couldn't get something right in their computer and you had to go over to their house and fix it till 3 a.m, showing your dedication. But think of a skill you have that they're going to value, where you also feel like you are legitimately world-class at it, and a story to make it come alive. I want you to record that video, and I want you to post it in the student Facebook group, and I'll give you detailed critique and feedback. And I also want you to do a second version of it where you boost your energy level 10 or 15% out of your comfort zone. But I want you to be a little more energetic than usual and get some feedback, because you may think, oh, wow, this is too much. This is crazy. Everyone else may think, wow, that person seems a lot more engaging, someone we want to work around. And just realize, I'm happy you're doing 3 interviews, and I hope you have a bunch more. At some point, it's a numbers game, but you also need to go into every presentation convinced you're doing your very best. You can't win over everyone. Everyone can always think, well, they don't like me because of this or because of that. I remember almost 30 years ago, I went in for a job interview at something that preceded Facebook. Barb, you probably remember theglobe.com. It was a big social media network. This was around 1998. And they had gone public, and all the founders were 23-year-olds and were fabulously wealthy. And I was still not a young man, but I was a lot younger than I am now. So in 1998, I was 33, 34 years old. So one of the questions was, well, TJ, you seem like you have a lot of great communications experience. It was a PR communications job. And at that point, I'd worked for members of Congress and state officials, politicians. How would you feel about having a boss who's younger than you? Because everyone working at this company and in every management position was like between 22 and 25. So in their eyes, I was this ancient dinosaur. They're thinking, wow, this is going to be awkward if we have to tell Grandpa. Again, this is almost 30 years ago, 25 years ago. This is going to be awkward if we have to give Grandpa an instruction and discipline him. So I didn't get the job. You know what? That's okay. So there's always going to be different variables. Once I was at something preceding YouTube called the pseudo networks. Again, this is the late 90s. And I was going in as a political commentator. And their feedback to me was I didn't curse enough. They specifically wanted something that didn't seem like CNN and traditional media. They wanted someone young and hip who cursed a lot. And they didn't want me. You know what? Things worked out for me quite nicely. But you never know. You're not going to win every interview. But you do want to get out in front of people as often as possible, whether it is a job interview or pitching a client. I have a meeting today where I'll essentially be pitching myself at 3 p.m. because I have someone who came through my high stakes presenter program, liked what she saw, signed up for a phone meeting, and I'll be meeting with her. So I'm essentially on a job interview today at 3. Am I confident I'm going to get it and land this client? No. But I am confident I'm going to come across my very best and communicate the messages I want. So are you willing to do that homework for us, Moss?
Yeah.
Great.
I will.
Well, I'll look forward to that. Barb, you'll be looking for that, and everyone else. So good luck, Moss. Any other interviews you have scheduled upcoming?
No, not right now.
Okay.
Not right now.
Good. Well, let your headhunter know that first of all, you appreciate the headhunter giving you honest feedback. Say, look, I know it's never fun to give people feedback on where they weren't great, but I really appreciate you giving me feedback on the eye contact, number one. Number two, I've done more research. I've talked to a coach about it. I'm actively practicing to make it better. Because here's the thing, you're not only trying to appeal to the job that's looking to hire someone, but the headhunter has a relationship to protect as well, because the headhunter may have other corporations saying, who do you have for this? If they feel like you're not going to be great in a job interview, they don't have to nominate you for that. They don't have to put your name forward. So when you let the headhunter know that you're taking feedback very seriously, you can be managed, you can take feedback. That's important information for the headhunter to know when talking to other people as well. So I would let them know, hey, you're ready to come out and do an even better job in your next interview.
Okay.
All right. Good luck. Thanks so
Yeah,
much.
thanks.
I see Ada has sort of popped in and out. And Ada, if you are able to join us, you can. Sama, we cut you off earlier, but you're here, and this is an open forum for anyone who has questions about communications, public speaking, presentation skills, human conversation. So are there any other questions you have today? Any other areas where you would like to improve, where perhaps we can give you some guidance?
All right. Can you hear me?
Yes, but if you wouldn't mind speaking up a little bit louder, it is faint.
All right. Better now?
Yes.
Okay. Um, I have sort of question that hops into my mind right now. Just I have some kind of problem that I want like more time than usual. So whenever anybody just asks me question, I need more time. So how can I just tell them I need more time? Just like give me like 5 more seconds, just complete my ideas and the things inside my mind, just like give you the like complete vision.
Let me make sure I'm understanding you correctly.
Yeah.
And by the way, Ada, I see you popped in and out. That's fine. Ada, if you do want to ask a question or participate today, state that in the comments section or in the chat section so we know. And we're happy to talk to you in a few minutes. But Selma, are you talking specifically about in a classroom setting where the teacher calls on you, you need 5 seconds, they think you don't know the answer and they quickly go to someone else? Or are you talking about more in a social setting?
Like both. I need
Okay,
just 5 more seconds, like to just give my like complete vision. Like
okay,
I want them to know what I completely want. Just like 5 more seconds, just very
sure.
little time, but just with very, very, very big
So I'm going to
information.
give you some advice that will shock some of you because it sounds completely opposite of what communications coaches typically say. If the teacher calls on you or a friend calls on you and you're thinking about it and you don't know exactly what you want to say, that is a perfectly fine time to say, um, the answer is, I just gave myself 2, 3 seconds. So there are
Yeah,
times when it's completely appropriate to say or By doing that, you're letting the person know that I hear you. I'm thinking about what you said. I need just a moment. And you are starting a dialogue by you putting out sound, even as even something like you're letting them know that you're not zoned out or spaced out or on your phone checking email or something. You are responding to them.
yeah, you're
The other
taking the
thing you can
advantage of
do,
that. Yeah,
what's that?
like you're taking the advantage of that or
Yes. The other thing you can do is restate the question. So, what you're asking me is, what do you really do if you're asked a question and you're not quite sure what you want to say and you want to pause? See what I did just there? I didn't really say anything new. I just restated your question. But if someone asks me a question and boom, that pops right out of my mouth right away, typically they're not going to ignore me and then go over to someone else because I'm talking and I'm responding to them. So that's an easy technique. And it also shows the person, hey, I'm listening to you. I'm respecting you. I'm trying to be responsive to you. And I'm not just going to ignore you. And I'm not just going to give you some canned response. I'm giving you something that is highly specific to what you're after. And all you're doing is throwing back in your own words what the question was. So that's a very easy technique. Have you ever tried anything like that?
Well, not really. Not really.
Okay. I'd give that a shot. I'd give that a try. And
Yeah,
that
because
could work. Yeah.
I mean, like when the last thing, like I'm saying my ideas, and just like one of them just like flew up from my mind. I just forgot it, and it was important and essential for just the complete thing. What should I
Here's
do?
something else that's going to help dramatically.
Yeah.
Every classroom you're in, every
Yeah.
speaker you go to, every
Mhm.
conference, ask one question.
Yeah, I'm trying to do that. I'm working on
Good.
that.
I know we've
Mhm.
talked about that before, but
Yeah.
here's what happens so often to people is the teacher calls on you and
Yeah.
all of a sudden you're thinking, oh no, everyone's looking at me. I now have
It's
to
a bad
speak with
attitude.
30 people looking at me. What happens at that moment is your body goes into a fight or flight mode.
Yeah.
So adrenaline is pulsing through your body and your body is preparing to escape. Let me run out the door and no one can catch me or see that I'm a fool. Now, you might not be thinking that overtly, but subconsciously, that's what goes on with
Yeah.
human beings. We are biologically programmed to fear standing out from the crowd because
True.
evolutionary times, it was a safety mechanism. If you're in the savannah and the lion, tiger, bear, saber-tooth tiger can see you and the rest of the herd is over here, you're the one easiest to kill. And that's why people don't like to be separate. Anytime you stand up and speak, everyone around you can see you. The saber-tooth tiger can see you. Now, unfortunately, that defense mechanism doesn't really help us in modern times because your teacher's not going to kill you or eat you.
Yeah.
So we have to fight that instinct and not let the nervous adrenaline shut our brain down. Because what the body's doing is it's preparing to run. So it's telling your brain, hey, stop working. Things you could usually instantly recall because you're nervous, it's harder to come out because your body's preparing for flight.
Yeah.
So the easiest way to get over that is to speak more every opportunity you can. Sometimes a teacher will ask a question, don't wait to be called on. Raise your hand. And depending on the culture or the norms of the classroom, maybe you even blurt out the answer. Ask questions in class because every time you're speaking in front of people, it makes it a little easier to answer and think next time if someone calls on you. And it just becomes easier and easier and easier. That's one reason why to this day, if I am walking down the street and I see a TV reporter and a TV camera, I'll just walk up to them and say, hey, what's the story of the day? And with a smile on my face and good energy in my voice. The vast majority of the time, they'll say, oh, we're getting public reaction to this new movie or the World Cup or something. What do you think? And then I essentially audition. I give them a great soundbite. And then, unless they're a TV channel for a different language, they'll say, hey, that's great. You mind if I interview you? And I'll say, sure. I've done this in grocery store parking lots, down the street, in the middle of New York City in Bryant Park. And it's gotten me on things like the Today Show. Now, it didn't turn into I didn't sell another 1,000 copies of my book or generate 10,000 more subscribers to my YouTube channel. But every time I do that, it makes it a little easier for any other interview I do because it just seems so normal and easy. So
Yeah,
that's why I recommend seek out every opportunity to speak. And you're already doing it. You've come here with us live many times when there are a lot of people with a lot more seniority and education and 40 and 50 and 60-year-olds who don't do that. So you're already on the right track. Keep it up. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Sama. Appreciate it. Barb, we are about at the end of our, well, we are at the end of our hour. I wondered if you had any other concluding comments or advice for either Moss or Sama. And Barb, if you had to step away, I do understand we've taken a lot of your time today. Well, if you do, just pop back on and let me know. I want to thank all of you for joining me today. If you've made it this far, I haven't spent a lot of time pitching or hawking anything, but I do want to take just a moment and ask you, please like the video, sign up for notifications, subscribe to the channel, and take a moment to sort of look at the various videos we have, the short videos, the long videos, the live videos. And if you see something that might help a colleague of yours, a friend, an associate, just pass the URL to them. Share the video. It'd be very much appreciated. If you are trying to improve your own speaking skills and you feel like you've plateaued, you're a good speaker, but not a great speaker, then I would urge you to go to the highstakespresenter.com to get our free training. And it tells you more about our coaching program. The link will be in the description as soon as we finish this. I'm TJ Walker, really hoping you gain all the success you can in life through more confident communication. See you tomorrow on the new YouTube video that will be posted tomorrow and every day. Thanks so much. See you next time.